Alright, this is a wrap. Now that they're like being censored and all that shit, like there's a lot of scrutiny being placed all over them, and I honestly like can't blame anybody for feeling fucking ripped off and shit. It's like I didn't really trust the whole fucking thing in the first place, and somehow I'm fucking right. Like that one meme about like an e-celeb that you hate so much, like being exposed for shit, and it's like, wow, okay, buddy, like I was only playing devil's advocate there, but it seemed like I was right, and I really hate to say that I was right. For starters, Snowbreak was an anime shooter that transitioned to a very lewd as fuck direction. Now, upon first hearing this, I was plainly skeptical because although I hadn't played the game, I don't exactly feel like having more fan service brings me into a game. This game sounds like finding vegetable chops at a 5-star seafood restaurant, and the majority of decisions the company has made over these past few months is what I like to call brownie point PR, which I'll explain later in the video. Okay, where do I begin? My initial impressions were all stated from an outsider POV, as someone who's never played Snowbreak before. In fact, the only person I've known who's ever played the game was my moderator, and even in that time it looked like a generic third-person shooter with anime characters. Now you may be thinking to yourself, well, havono, I get your background, but like, what external issues do you have against the developers? My first and foremost issue is how they've treated their collaborators, and first in line are the English voice cast, who were basically fired with no mercy, nor any actual proof, nor evidence substantiating this very believable claim. As of the making of this video, these voice actors have at least one gacha game credit to their name according to their IMDb pages. Thankfully, TV Tropes has a list of all the characters along with their English voice talent, and I'll be linking this list in the description below. I initially considered this move as a desperate measure as well as an indication that the developers have bent the knee to an anti-localization movement at that time. That also explains how Nikkei, despite its suggestive and very lewd themes and imagery, was still able to retain its English voice cast spotlessly. Now this next issue is in a level of completely, utterly stupid.
Snowbreak will no longer work with cosplayers. Regarding the issue of cosplayers, we have understood everyone's feedback and suggestions, and we are very sorry that it has affected everyone's experience of the role. We will no longer invite cosplayers in the future, and we will remove the videos of cosplayers invited in version 2.2. We will also try to negotiate and remove the videos of cosplayers who were not officially invited. In the comment area, we learned about the content direction and format that everyone likes, and in the future, the team will produce in the way that everyone prefers. This is some of the most bizarre drama and one of the most unusual public statements that have had to have been issued by a director or staff members of a studio.
I still somehow can't get over this. It's not just one cosplayer they have an issue with over somehow a 9-year-old message, which is cancel culture, by the way. But somehow, you don't want to work with another cosplayer anymore, and you also want to remove past records of other cosplayers representing your fucking game. And cosplayers spend their time, sweat, tears, and money just so that they can represent a character from an IP. And this is what they get for representing your game, which is already a fucking controversy in and of itself. Imagine throwing everybody else under the bus for some 9-year-old message. Imagine being this utterly spiteful. Like, is this the fucking kind of client that deserves respect? And in the very same message, in the future the team will produce in the way that everyone prefers. I'm sorry, but what do you mean by everybody? Because just a few months ago, the Japanese representative for this game has already said this in an interview, and that unfortunately leads to my third strike. Now this next segment is where I read Steam reviews as r/gacha gaming was doing a clowning session. But before that, I decided to bring up Skullgirls because it also had a censorship issue, but that was pretty much remedied by now.
Flashback!
They were at least like fucking transparent with the goddamn roadmap and everything. Like, look at it. Any of the stars, Umbrella, you have voice packs, you have a palette pack, you have a soundtrack, you have a digital art compendium. Discs 1 to 3, these were all parts of the roadmap that completely worked in their favor. They were at least able to do all of their fucking stretch goals. That is only a good thing. Like, they could have made it a third encore, but no. They decided to go ahead and support second encore, man. One of the artists, right, has worked on Clock Tower.
And the flashback!
Let's talk some drama, shall we? The censorship. Sell pre-sales interactable scenes got censored right before release. The scene's also not interactable. Are you serious? Apparently, gotta go to common. Scroll down localization, change factor to 1. Can confirm the workaround works to restore your game to the uncensored version. Call of Tom Valorant's Containment Recon Snowbreak-related. The next few months of updates are really gonna determine whether or not guys stay in service, as I'm not gonna buy anymore. Okay, now I understand why you want global to be separated from CN, but it's like unrealistic to ever make that happen. Cause they're gonna have to like do 2 fucking builds, and it's like when they're losing a lot of money on this game alone, don't expect them to like make 2 versions like consistently available. It's not feasible for the money anymore. I'll give them credit for them to do right by our players and give refunds. But yeah, refunds in-game currency, no guarantee you can't buy with that currency appeals will be released. But someone said earlier as well that no refund, just some penny in-game currency. The reason why they made a male faceless protagonist is because the dating sim shit was so much easier to implement if they put up a male faceless protagonist. Yeah, visual novel shit, yeah. God, this is so scary to read. Character and plot development takes place in time when events and wisdom as a new player. You're SOL. Genshin has this as well. No interaction with the global community from the EN staff. Wow. Okay. I thought they were having so much fun, right? Finally, somebody else acknowledged this shit.
Energize. Start your day the champion way. Happy energy, energy gap. Be energy gap. Drink Milo every day. Milo every day.
It could be classified as advertising, whether true or false, but it includes a proposal which associates beneficiaries before these beneficiaries could try the product for themselves. Now, why would Snowbreak use such a marketing tactic in order to appease to his gacha fans? Well, it's pretty simple. So if a creator were to go ahead and skirt around censorship and regulations and make something so genuine and so unique, I could only describe that accomplishment as amazing work, even going as far as admiration. But to see something that was initially made so flat, so utterly generic and uninspiring, be run on a platform that only knows one thing: volatility. It neither promotes creativity nor makes a lasting legacy, but runs on a platform generated only by money and stagnation. And for all I care to say, a studio that I know named Astroshift made something called Pocket Mirror, and that was a beautiful work of art done by a team who wanted to make a horror game. And it had character, it had empathy, and it had nuance. And it felt unique, it felt beautiful, and lastly, it felt mesmerizing. It felt like a genuine work of art instead of something that was being churned out. But right now, we're talking about live service. And in live service, a costume could feel like a complete novelty, or at least something that can define your account for a very long time. But when something is changed too much, becoming completely unrecognizable, then what is it now? Like, you could make additions and all that, but Fortnite won't just change your Captain America suit, nor will Riot take away the Zed skins from Valorant. So to keep making too many promises with people's money on the line, that's just not worth it. Instead, I think the developers were much better off if they actually were honest and transparent about the whole process in the first place, and I think they could have made something cool while they were playing it safe. Like, if CSUN were actually fucking competent, they would have tried to give these disgraced writers another chance, and it all feels like something could have been avoided here in the first place. Like, ever heard of delays? But no, they allowed the writers to be the literal scapegoats because there was no consultation, no helping, no... That's not even their job. All the vibe I got from this drama is basically Kevin Feige in Phase 4. Quite frankly, I have no idea who the real culprit is other than CSUN themselves. This segment is all because there were tinfoil hat theories going around that apparently the Chinese government was sabotaging the game, or there were folks who were hired at CSUN who were apparently willing to go ahead and fuck it up for all they're worth. However, I don't think that self-sabotaging is as easy as, oh, take this job. I just can't trust that. But with the Chinese government, Hollywood still gets the end of the stick, so take that as you will. And at that point, I was just tired. I wish it didn't end like this because a lot of folks were basically deceived and scammed into thinking that they'll get fan service as much as they like. And as I'm okay with fan service in anime and games, I just think that we gotta be better than this. Because as Mysterio once said, people will believe anything. And if I'm being right by these figures over here, I guess we'll never learn. So the conclusion, the game was heavily sold as a commodity, as the game's PR was entirely centered around the bandwagon as well as the promise of full fan service. They dropped the English dub as well as the cosplayer community, and because of these tribalist methods of singling out, this has created a toxic movement where anyone can act like a literal snake or a spoiled child, and the talent in turn could feel like a victim or a puppet to this entire system. The management had only become more and more incompetent as the months go by. And when it came to the censorship, the developers could have done close to nothing, and instead, a blame game then ensued where the targets were either the Chinese government or some new hire that was coming to CSUN after recent popularity. Overall, I'd say this is a case of false promises followed by deceptive marketing. But with the recent Bilibili figures, I suppose the developers have finally made their bed and are now starting to truly live in it. So yes, they got away. Buddy, I wish you could find a better gacha, alright?